Remember to like and subscribe. We see crossovers all the time in basketball games.
Right.
But today, on Sound of a Swish, we're going to take a deep dive into one that Baller Bootcamp calls the best crossover in basketball to use against pressure.
Ah, interesting.
And it's called that because it's designed to beat even the most aggressive defenders.
What I think is really cool about this one is that it's not just about like flash or looking fancy.
Right.
It's really about safety and control.
Okay.
In fact, the source really emphasizes how this move can help you to shield the ball.
Interesting.
Almost like you're hiding it behind like a wall.
Oh, like a wall.
Yeah, while you're setting up your next move.
Okay. So it's a strategic way to protect the ball more than just a fancy dribble. Tell me a little more about that.
Exactly. Yeah. It's all about using your body and your footwork to create space and misdirect the defender. The article breaks it down into 5 steps. The first step is you attack in one direction and you really sell it to get the defender moving.
So you're making them commit to that direction.
Exactly, like a fake.
Okay, like a fake. Got it.
And then, as you plant your foot to stop, you bring your opposite leg forward to shield the ball.
Oh, so that's where that wall comes in.
Exactly.
It's not just about dribbling low. You're really putting your body between the ball and the defender.
You got it. And that placement of that leg is key.
Okay.
You want to force the defender to have to go around you, not through you.
Oh, okay.
That creates the space you need to execute the next steps.
So you're almost using that leg as a barrier to sort of control your movement.
You got it. Then you take 1 or 2 dribbles backward, further distancing yourself from the defender.
Okay.
And this is where those low dribbles are super important. You're vulnerable during the crossover itself. So keeping that ball low protects it from a steal.
It makes sense. The lower the ball, the harder it is to reach.
Yeah.
But then how do you actually execute the crossover when you're backing up?
So that's where step 4 comes in. It's the drop step combined with the crossover.
Okay.
So as you drop that shielding leg back, you simultaneously transfer the ball from one hand to the other.
So you're using that drop step to create even more deception.
Yeah.
Making it even harder for them to anticipate that direction change.
Exactly.
I like it.
And then that final step is to explode towards the basket in that new direction, like a coiled spring releasing.
So you're using those first 4 steps to set the defender up.
Yeah.
Lull them into this false sense of security. And then, bam.
Exactly.
You hit them with the crossover and the explosion past them.
That's it. And what's really interesting is that the article specifically mentions this crossover as being super effective against what they call
overly aggressive defenders.
Oh, I've played against plenty of those.
Yeah.
Always reaching, always trying to steal the ball.
Exactly, yeah.
So how does this move help you to handle that kind of pressure?
Well, an overly aggressive defender is constantly on the move, trying to force you into a mistake.
Right.
They're playing tight defense, trying to get into passing lanes.
Okay.
But with this crossover, you're basically using their momentum against them.
So you're outsmarting them. You're not trying to overpower them with speed or strength.
Exactly. It's a way to create space and regain control when you're facing that kind of intense pressure.
The article actually outlines 4 specific game situations where this crossover really shines. Yeah. The first one is when you're being pressured full court.
So when someone is picking you up full court, their goal is to disrupt the flow of the offense from the very beginning.
Right.
They want to force you into making a bad pass or taking a rush shot.
But this crossover gives you a tool to maintain your composure and create some breathing room, even with that defender right on top of you.
So instead of just trying to speed past them, you're using this move to create a buffer and make a smart decision.
You got it. It's about being in control, not just being fast.
Oh, okay.
The crossover helps you dictate the pace and make the right play, whether that's driving to the basket, passing to a teammate, or setting up the offense.
So you're essentially turning their aggression against them, using their pressure to create an advantage for yourself.
Exactly. And that leads us to the second situation, where this move is really useful, trapping situations.
Those double teams that can feel like you're caught in a spider web.
Exactly.
How does this crossover help you escape those?
Well, traps are designed to force you into a corner, create panic, leading to turnovers.
Right.
But this crossover, with its emphasis on backing up and changing direction, can help you to slip out of that pressure.
But you're not just getting out of the trap.
Right.
You're actually using it to your advantage by creating space and forcing the defense to react to you.
Exactly. You can either find an open teammate for a pass or make a move to break the trap yourself. It's all about turning that defensive pressure into an offensive opportunity.
Okay, so we talked about full court pressure and traps.
Right.
But the article also mentions this crossover being useful when setting up the offense.
Right.
I'm kind of curious to hear how that works.
Yeah, it's all about control. Imagine you've just grabbed an offensive rebound.
Okay.
You have a full shot clock.
Yeah.
But the defender is all over you.
Right.
Instead of rushing into like a bad decision, this crossover lets you protect the ball, calm things down, and initiate the offense on your terms.
So it's not just about breaking ankles. It's about being a floor general, controlling the tempo, and making smart decisions, even with the defender breathing down your neck.
Exactly. This move allows you to maintain possession and survey the court, giving your teammates time to get into position and run the play.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's almost like hitting the pause button on the game for a moment just to regroup and make sure everyone's on the same page.
That's a great analogy. And then the fourth and final scenario the article highlights is when the help defense rotates well.
Okay.
This one can be a little trickier to picture.
Yeah, I remember the article mentioned watching the video for this one, but we're going to try our best to paint the picture with words.
Let's say you drive to the basket and the help defense collapses on you.
Okay.
Suddenly you're surrounded. What do you do?
I'm guessing forcing a shot or making a risky pass is not the answer.
Exactly. This is where that shield step we talked about comes in handy again.
Yeah.
By backing up and changing direction with the crossover, you create an escape route, allowing you to reset the offense and find a better opportunity.
So instead of panicking and making a bad play, you're using this move to kind of gracefully back out, regroup, and find a better option.
Right. It's about recognizing when a play has broken down and having the skills to salvage the possession. And that's what makes this crossover so versatile. It's not just about offense. It's about making smart decisions under pressure.
It sounds like it's really about using your basketball IQ as much as your physical skills.
Absolutely. Knowing when and how to use this move effectively is just as important as the mechanics of the crossover itself.
I'm starting to see how this one move can be applied in so many different ways on the court.
Yeah.
It's not just a single trick. It's a whole toolkit for handling pressure and controlling the game.
And that's what makes it so valuable for players of all levels. Yeah. Whether you're like a seasoned pro or just starting out, mastering this crossover can give you a significant edge.
Speaking of mastering the move, let's dive a little deeper into the actual mechanics.
Okay.
The article breaks it down into those 5 key steps.
Yeah.
But I'd love to hear you walk us through each one in a little more detail.
Of course. So, as we mentioned, that first step is all about attacking in one direction. You want to get your defender moving, make them think you're going one way.
You're selling that initial move like a fake.
Exactly.
Got it.
And then as you plant your foot to stop, that's when you simultaneously bring that opposite leg forward to shield the ball, creating that wall we talked about.
And I imagine the placement of that leg is critical.
It is. You want to be slightly in front of your defender, forcing them to go around you, not through you.
Okay.
Which buys you that extra split second you need.
So you're not just creating space with your dribble, you're using your body positioning to your advantage.
Precisely. Then come those retreat dribbles, 1 or 2, depending on how much space you need to create.
Right.
And remember, low dribble the whole time. Protect that ball.
Low and tight, like it's glued to your hand.
Good. Now here comes the crossover itself. As you drop that shielding leg back, you simultaneously execute the crossover, transferring the ball from one hand to the other.
So it's all about timing and coordination.
Yeah.
You're lowering your center of gravity with that drop step, making it even harder for the defender to reach the ball.
You got it. And with the defender off balance and the ball safely in your other hand, you explode in that new direction, like you said earlier, like a coiled spring.
And that's where all that setup pays off.
Right.
You've lulled them into a false sense of security, and then bam, you hit them with a change of direction.
Exactly. And the beauty of this move is that it's not just about speed, it's about control. You're in command the whole time, dictating the pace and making the defender react to you.
I can already picture our listeners out there practicing this move, shaking off their defenders with ease.
And that's what it's all about, giving you the tools to elevate your game.
So to recap, the 5 steps are attack, shield, retreat, crossover, explode.
Simple yet effective.
But as we've been discussing, the key is in the details. The footwork, the timing, the low dribble.
Exactly.
It all comes together to create a move that is both safe and effective.
And remember, this is just one tool in your arsenal. You need to be able to read the defense and choose the right move for the situation.
Right. But when you are facing pressure and you need to create space, this crossover can be a real game changer.
Absolutely. It's about being unpredictable, keeping the defense guessing.
Now, before we wrap up, I want to go back to something you said earlier about this move being about outsmarting the defender, not overpowering them.
Right. It's not just about being bigger or faster. It's about using your basketball IQ.
Because even the most athletic defender can be beaten with the right move at the right time.
Exactly. It's about understanding the angles, the timing, the psychology of the game.
And that's what separates the good players from the great players.
The ability to not just react, but to anticipate, to think one step ahead.
I love that. So for all of her listeners out there, don't just practice the physical movements of this crossover. Practice the mental game as well.
Study the game. Watch how the best players use their skills to manipulate the defense.
Because ultimately, basketball is a game of chess, not checkers.
And this crossover is just one piece on the board.
But a very powerful piece indeed.
One that can help you control the game and dictate the outcome.
You know, you're reminding me of something. When I first started playing basketball, I was all about trying to be the fastest, strongest player on the court.
That's a common approach, especially when you're younger.
It is. But as I gained experience, I started to realize that it's not always about raw athleticism. The players who really stood out, the ones who could consistently make a difference, they were the ones who understood the game on a deeper level.
Exactly. They were the ones who could read the defense, anticipate their opponent's moves, and make smart decisions under pressure.
And that's what this crossover is all about. It's not just a flashy move. It's a tool for thinking players, for those who want to control the game and outsmart their opponents.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Now, while this crossover is incredibly effective in its basic form, the Baller Bootcamp article also hints at some variations and ways to personalize the move.
Yes, the nuances. That's where things get truly fascinating. Because once you master the fundamentals, you can start to add your own flavor, your own personal touch.
I'm excited to dig into that. You ready to explore some of these variations?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay, so we've got this amazing foundation for beating pressure with the crossover. But like you said, there are ways to make it even more effective. So what are some of those variations that we can play with?
Well, one thing to consider is the speed of the move. The article doesn't explicitly say this, but based on my experience, you can execute the crossover very quickly, almost like a blur, to catch the defender off guard.
So it's almost like you're using speed to create even more deception.
Exactly. But you can also slow the whole thing down, use hesitations, changes of pace to really mess with the defender's timing and make them second-guess themselves.
So then it becomes more about the mind game than just the physical move.
That's right. It's about keeping the defender off balance, making them react to you, not the other way around. And another variation to experiment with is the direction of the crossover. The article focuses on crossing over towards your dominant hand, but you can also try crossing over to your weak hand.
That sounds pretty advanced. What's the benefit of doing that?
Well, if the defender always expects you to go one way, crossing over to your weak hand can really throw them off.
It's like a surprise attack.
Exactly.
They're prepared for you to go right, and then suddenly you're going left.
Exactly. It opens up new driving lanes, and it keeps them guessing. Plus, it forces you to develop your weak hand, which is always a good thing. It makes you a more well-rounded player.
I can definitely see the value in that. You're not just relying on one dominant move. You're becoming a more versatile player overall.
Absolutely. And another thing to think about is combining the crossover with other moves. The article doesn't really touch on this, but it's a natural progression.
So it's not just a standalone move. You can actually integrate it into like a whole sequence.
Exactly. You can use the crossover to set up a spin move, a behind-the-back dribble, or even a step-back jumper.
Wow.
It's all about being creative and using your imagination.
This is where things get really fun.
Yeah.
You're not just reacting to the defense anymore.
Yeah, right.
You're creating your own opportunities.
Right. The more comfortable you become with this crossover, the more you can experiment with these variations and find what works best for your style of play. It's about becoming a student of the game, constantly learning and evolving.
I'm picturing our listeners out there breaking ankles, creating space, and making highlight reel plays with this crossover and all its variations.
And that's what it's all about, empowering you to take your game to the next level.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today.
Yeah.
We explored this best crossover in basketball to use against pressure. We broke down its safety, its effectiveness in specific situations, the 5 key steps, and even some exciting variations.
Yeah. It's a move that is both practical and stylish, and one that can truly elevate your game if you're willing to put in the work.
Remember, folks, it's not just about mastering the physical move. It's about understanding when and how to use it effectively.
Exactly.
It's about reading the defense, being creative, and constantly evolving your game.
Absolutely. Because basketball is a game of constant adaptation. It's about pushing your limits and finding new ways to express yourself on the court.
And that's what we love about it. So keep practicing, keep experimenting, and keep pushing yourselves to be the best players you can be. And remember to like and subscribe to Sound of a Swish for more deep dives into the world of basketball. We'll catch you next time.